Hi, my name is Sarah Violante.
And my name is Tibor Gyorfi.
And this is the Signal Processing Lab.
The fast Fourier transform is an effective way to understand complex cyclic signals. Signals obtained in real life are often messy and require qualitative thinking to understand and to remove background noise. Here's an example of the FFT approximation of a sawtooth function as an example of a complex signal reduced to its Fourier approximation.
There are four main objectives in this lab. The first is to understand the effect of signal resolution on the quality of an FFT. The second is to decipher signals created by a speaker and determine the effects of white noise on the shape of the resulting FFT. The third is to understand the benefits of averaging a signal to remove white noise. And the fourth is to qualify the importance of using burst signals.
Frequency analysis procedure. The function generator was set to 1760 Hz and 400 millivolt VPP. A sine wave and a square wave was created, and each was captured at 1, 6.5, and 15 cycles. In addition, a burst signal was created and it was captured at 20, 80, and 160 cycles.
The left-hand side is one cycle of a sine function. The function generator inputs were discussed in the previous slide. On the right-hand side is the FFT of the generated function. The arrows highlight the idiosyncrasies of the FFT. This is at a very low number of cycles, and we will notice in the following slides that as we increase the number of cycles, our resolution is increased. This is in correlation with the formula discussed in lecture and FFT theory.
On the left-hand side is a graph of 6.5 cycles of a sine wave. On the right-hand side is its respective FFT function, which is messy due to spectral leakage since the cycle number is uneven.
So now we are looking at a sine wave of 15 cycles generated. The FFT on the right is much different than the FFT that we saw for a sine wave with one cycle. You will notice that it is very concentrated around 1760 Hz and that the artifacts, that's where the arrows are pointing to, are much smaller than the ones shown for one cycle. And this all comes back to demonstrating that as we increase the number of samples, the resolution increases because the FFT is almost at a straight line.
The same general trend noted for the sine wave is shown with the square wave. As the sample number increases, the FFT graph becomes sharper and sharper until it finally almost approaches a straight line for each individual sine wave. The Fourier approximation represents the square wave as three distinct sine waves. The sine wave burst once again reinforces our previous conclusion. As the cycle number increases, the Fourier transform becomes sharper and sharper until it finally approaches a straight line.
So that concludes part 1 of the lab. Part 2 of the lab involves noise analysis, and this is the procedure. First, we set a sinusoidal signal to 760 Hz in the function generator. Then, we recorded a continuous signal and a 20-cycle burst with a snap while averaging the output. Next, a 1760 Hz sinusoidal wave is set to a 128-cycle burst. And last, the signal is played from the speaker while a song from YouTube is played in the background and the effects are observed. Figure 15 will show the experimental setup discussed.
Figure 16 shows the ideal burst output on the top and the speaker output on the bottom. The arrows highlight noise, which is due to an artifact of the speaker caused by the inertia of its diaphragm. The FFT output of the generated signal on the right is not perfectly straight due to this noise.
The input signal on the left is from the function generator. The speaker output is on the right. The artifact displayed at the end of the speaker output is due to the inertia of the speaker diaphragm. When we snapped, we noticed that there was a slight response displayed in the output, but it is not shown here due to averaging, as averaging mitigates this response.
A 1760 Hz sine wave is shown on the left with its output FFT on the right. Since there is no noise and the resolution is high, the FFT graph is a straight line. A 1760 Hz sine wave recorded from the speaker is shown on the left. Background noise in the form of a song from YouTube was played over the signal, creating a messy waveform. Despite this noise, the FFT displays the chief signal present, namely the 1760 Hz sine wave.
In conclusion, FFTs are a useful tool for breaking down and analyzing complex signals. The averaging of a signal helps to mitigate the effects of random background noise, and the effect of the remaining noise can be eliminated by using the FFT. Using a burst signal is the best way to determine which signal leads and which signal lags. And lastly, the inertia of a speaker's membrane limits its response time.